if you are a hairstylist or a beauty business owner and you're at this stage in your business where your main concern is not necessarily attracting new clients, but how to manage the appointments of your existing clients, how to manage your client communication, how to set boundaries, listen up, because my friend Hunter is coming on today to talk with us all about the pre-appointment experience. Hunter is a hairstylist and business mentor, and he teaches overwhelmed, stressed out hairstylists how to create systems in their business that actually make their lives so much easier. If you are the type of person who is constantly responding to messages from clients, who feels like you're booked up and your existing loyal clients can't find space in your books, if you feel like you're overwhelmed with constantly having to answer questions, you're finding that you feel stressed out and busy, Hunter is going to make your life so much easier. In this interview, he's going to share with us his simple systems that you can set up in your business now to not only make your life so much easier without having to deal with all the back and forth client communication, but also have to create this incredible experience for clients before they even get to your salon. So we're talking about online appointment booking, how to set up policies in your business, how to actually filter out clients that you don't necessarily want to see so that you are bringing in the best clients and you're automating all of your communication and pre-appointment client communication with them. So without further ado, let's jump into my interview with Hunter. Hi, Hunter. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited to chat with you today.
Hi, Steph. Thank you so much for having me on. I am super excited to get into it with you. You are fantastic, and I am freaking excited. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. So I was just saying, like we were chatting before, and I was like, oh my gosh, I found out about you a few months ago, and since then I feel like I've been seeing you everywhere. And I want to know more about you and your experience as a hairstylist, and also as like an educator and a mentor and all of that. So tell me a little bit about like what kind of like where you come from and what you're doing now.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hello, my name is Hunter Donia, and I help hairstylists create beautiful guest experiences so they can scale their businesses. And I am based out of Central Pennsylvania. I'm a studio suite owner. I am still behind the chair and educating. And I started out in the industry when I was 15 years old. So when I was younger and I first came out of the closet, I came out of the closet like way before 15. I came out pretty early. I was probably in like 7th grade, and I started to like wear makeup and express myself like on on the outside, not only just on the inside. So I started to like wear makeup and dye my hair, and I started really falling in love with the fact that I could affirm who I was and show people who I was through beauty and through using myself as a canvas. And so because I loved doing that already, I found out about my high school's vocational program, and I was like, hey, might as well try something out like this. I really enjoy it. And I did have a hard time fitting in, of course, just like being gay and like wearing this makeup and being as expressive as I was. And when I started my cosmetology vocational program, it was the first time I felt as if I was accepted and I really fit in a space and was celebrated for who I was. And therefore, I am so intensely passionate about this industry because it's the space that I found peace and comfort and love inside of for probably the first time.
That's amazing.
And so I started when I was in vocational school. I was able to graduate with my cosmetology license with high school. And I also started at my first salon when I was on my 16th birthday, and I was an assistant there. That's where I first started on the floor once I graduated high school. And then it went on from there. So I could give you the full story, but I don't want to talk to you about it.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about like how you made this transition from being a hairstylist and then going independent, and then now you also help other hairstylists. Can you tell us a little bit about like how that came about and what your passion is for helping other business owners in the beauty industry?
Absolutely. So when I was probably at my 5th year of being at the salon that I started at when I was 16. And I had built my clientele. I was actually doing extremely well in that space. And I had met a man, and I've been with the man for like a month, or no, not a month. My gosh, can you imagine? A year and a half at that point, and he lived about an hour and a half away from me. And at that point, I decided that it was time for me to move out there and move in with him because he's a Baltimore City firefighter and he couldn't relocate as easily as I could.
Right.
So I decided to make the move, make the jump, and I knew what I was doing. I knew that I was going to have to start fresh at a new salon and build my clientele from scratch, and I was dedicated and ready. And once I did, I really thought that like it would be easy for me because I was so passionate and motivated and ready to go, and all of my efforts just went to crap basically, and it took me a long time to even get to a point where I was booked out even for a month.
Right.
So then quarantine happened, and I had a lot of time to educate myself, to really think about what I wanted, what my goals were, what I was capable of, and the environment that I would need to be in order to create what I was capable of doing and creating. So I decided I was going to open up my own salon suite. And
this is like during quarantine, like during the beginning of COVID.
Literally during quarantine. So I decided to just go out on a limb and open up a suite the day that Pennsylvania lifted their quarantine, and businesses and salons specifically were opening up again. So I had a pit in my stomach the whole time. I was so scared. My poor boyfriend had to listen to me every second of the day, like freaking out. And I did it. I felt the fear and I did it anyway. It's one of my like main quotes that I live by now after that experience.
Absolutely.
And because I created such an amazing guest experience, like I was not messing around. I was like, I want my experience to be like no other person in this entire area. And because I created such a great experience, my business absolutely exploded. And I went from building a clientele from scratch and being barely a week booked out at a time to being 3 to 4 months booked out at a time with 5 new guest requests a week.
Oh my goodness.
So I was like, okay, I need to teach other people this.
Yeah, I love that. So you're saying about like the experience. I'm guessing you're talking about like the full experience to like start to finish.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
So what I teach now is my Previsit pathway, which is all about what the experience that your client has when they land on your website all the way until they get to your doorstep. And the reason why I created that actually was because my business exploded, and because I had all this overwhelming success, which I was so grateful for. It brought on a whole new set of issues, like a whole new set of problems. It's like the more money problems thing.
So what were some of those problems?
So I was at a point where I could not get a new guest in for weeks, like months even. And I couldn't even get my own existing clients back into my book at a time where they needed. And no price increase was going to be the fix for that, although, of course, that is your number one solution to that. And no price increase was going to be able to reduce the overwhelm that I had on my book. So what I figured that I had to do, especially because I was feeling so burnt out, like by my 6 months, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed and grateful for the success. But like, I feel like I'm drowning in my books. And
is that because you were like just seeing too many clients, working too many hours, that kind of thing?
Yes. Yeah, and I didn't have boundaries because I was coming from this space of scarcity of like, I just opened this own business by myself. I'm only by myself. This is my first experience, like only relying on myself for my income. And so I need to take every second and every client at every second of the day.
Yeah.
And I would let my clients text me all hours of the day, all hours of the night. I was such a control freak over my book because of how sensitive my schedule was.
Yeah.
Like, God forbid if I got COVID or if I got sick at all and I had to have like an off day, where am I going to put these people?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I'm inconveniencing my clients who are really loyal and who give me great money and who make me happy. And that's a problem as a business owner, to be experiencing that. And that does not create convenience or great guest experience.
Yeah.
So what I had to do was, along with, of course, a big price increase, what I had to do was I had to create a whole lot of systems and to create a whole lot of automation and systems and leverage technology in order to take the burden of what I'm doing outside of behind the chair off of me and put it onto the resources that are available to us today. Because we don't get paid for the stuff that we are doing from outside behind the chair, especially as independents. And so I think it's extremely important that if we want to have a long, passionate, beautiful career, then we have to reap our benefits of the career that we're building. And you can't do that if you're in your real life outside of your job working all the time. It doesn't make any sense. And so that's what I was doing. And I was able to lean into technology as I'm Gen Z, so technology clicks with me pretty easily.
Yeah.
So I was able to like find all these cool resources and connect them all together and create this big process that's all happening in the Previsit that creates new guest onboarding, completely automatic, but super convenient. I still feel like I'm in control. My students don't feel like they're in control of their books. They don't have to send any emails. It's a completely streamlined, absolutely beautiful experience for them that creates boundaries and automation.
I love that. That's so cool. Yeah, I saw, I was looking at like one of your videos, and in it you were talking about your pre-appointment experience, like pathway, and you were showing this video of you out with your boyfriend, and you're both trying to like enjoy a nice brunch, and you keep on getting these like text messages and calls, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. So I guess the reason you did that is because that's a true depiction of how your life was. It's just like you couldn't even enjoy your time with your boyfriend. You're just like constantly being interrupted.
100. I mean, yes, it was like when I asked my boyfriend Zach to be a part of that, and like that he would be like acting and stuff. He was like, "Yeah, this is easy. I just like act like how
exactly how it was."
Yeah, 100%. And that was not okay. You know, we deserve to have that time uninterrupted with our significant other and with our family and with our friends and even to nurture ourselves. Like, we deserve that uninterrupted time. And honestly, we're so scared of the fact that we'd be inconveniencing our clients when we're taking care of ourselves and saying no. When in reality, you can't come back to your business and come back to your clients and serve them to the standard that they deserve unless you have served yourself first.
Absolutely.
And what I am teaching is ways to do that without jeopardizing the professionalism of your business. When people talk about boundaries, it kind of drives me nuts when they say, just say no, because if we're competing with Ulta and Sephora and Amazon, do you think that Ulta's customer service would ever just say no to you? Like, no, they wouldn't. They would have solutions and processes and systems, right? So in order to create those boundaries and not be afraid of creating those boundaries, and you can create systems that hold you accountable to those boundaries, that not only, hold you accountable to them, but also create system solutions and a beautiful guest experience for your clients.
I love that. Yeah, that's exactly what I love about what you're teaching is like, it's a two-sided thing. On one hand, it gives you that freedom and it kind of takes away that guilt of like trying to people please all the time. And it's kind of like a rule book for you to live by. But at the same time, it actually makes it better and easier for your clients too. Because one thing that you were saying before is like, some of your like long-term clients couldn't even get into your books.
Right. And it's like, those are the clients that will stick with me through my price increases. And they're pissed because they can't get in with me for weeks. And it's like, that's just, what even is that? Like, that's a broken business. Like being booked out more than like 6 weeks at a time, in my opinion, is a broken business model, because you are like suffering, like you're stuck, like you're in such a vulnerable space, and you're not creating convenience for your very ideal client. So yes, of course, big price increase. But sometimes if you're that much in demand, if you're leaning into paid advertising, such as what Steph teaches you how to do, and you're really freaking busting out the seams as far as your new guest requests and your book, then you need to make some radical changes sometimes, and sometimes they're not even radical. Sometimes they're just implementing really simple, beautiful systems into your business that other top Forbes 100 companies already have in their business. I mean, it's really just taking notes from the businesses that are outside of our industry, and that's I think the biggest gap that we miss is like, why do we treat our industry as such like this like niche special thing that we can only talk about it like within our own confines of what we've experienced? Because like I feel like we just need to start taking notes from outside of our industry.
Absolutely.
And make it fit into what our special, beautiful industry actually is.
Okay. So let's talk about some of those systems. In being a business owner, like you said, in whatever kind of business you have, you need systems, you need rules, and you need like guidelines of how to follow them. So can you tell us about like some of the first systems that you put into place in your business and like some of the changes that you started to see?
Yes, absolutely. So one of the things that I never struggled with, because I did this from the very beginning, but what I see so many hairstylists who come into my program struggling with is a lot of cancellations, last minute cancellations, no shows, redos, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And so what I have my students do is I have them have very clear written out policies that your client sees and signs every single appointment. And this is done digitally, and it's done in a form that your client fills out before they come into their appointment. And in that form, they're actually able to choose different customizations that they can create in their experience with you. So, like I said, so you're creating boundaries and you're covering your own butt, right? But you're also creating a beautiful experience for your client at the same time. So that way, it's not just this like nasty procedural thing.
Yeah.
And so my philosophy with salon policies is your salon policies are in place to not to be able to charge the cancellation fee, not to be able to enforce them. It's to be able to prevent those situations from happening in the first place.
Yeah.
If you don't make people aware of how they should respect you and respect your boundaries, then they're not going to, and you can't expect them to.
Yeah, at that point, it's not even their fault. It's your fault that you haven't communicated to them about how you want your time to be treated.
Exactly. And we just expect these people to know, and it's like they don't know. Like they literally don't know, and I think that we have to, as smart business owners, literally expect absolutely nothing from our clients. We need to expect the fact that they don't know anything about hair, they don't know anything about policies, they don't know anything about respect for our business and what we do. Yeah. Because that way you'll be able to create a very beautiful experience with boundaries for yourself that educates your client and makes sense for your client too. Yeah. So that's just one example.
I love it. Okay, so we've got the cancellation policy, which is so important, and it's like this huge hot topic that nobody knows like what to put in there, all of that kind of stuff. And maybe we can go back to that in a sec. But I know you've got some other systems too that you teach and that you implemented in your own business.
Yes, so also a new client application. So I actually recommend that hairstylists do not accept anybody that is outside of their specialty or give them their online booking link until they have gone through an application process. And hear me out. I think that this depends on where you're at in your business. I think that if you are at a space where you're past like the very small green growing phase, then it's time for you to implement this.
Right.
So, because in my opinion, I think taking on anything and everything is a short-term game. I think that what's going to happen is if you take on anything and everything, right? If you go in to your appointments and your services and you don't feel passionate about the service that you're doing or the person that you're working with, then you aren't going to be able to show up as your best self. You're not going to be able to give them the absolute beautiful, genuine, authentic, gorgeous service that you hold yourself to the standard of giving, right? In exchange for the money that your client's paying you. And that client is going to feel that. that client is going to see that, feel that, like, in their soul.
Yeah.
And they are eventually not going to stick with you through your price increases. They're going to find another hairstylist who's the next shiny object, who is going to fit with them better, who's going to specialize in what they want done, and who's going to speak to them. Now that we're in a world where we all are getting business education and we understand how marketing works, right? So when we're taking on anything and everything, it's kind of creating just like a scarcity, short-term strategy, basically.
Yeah.
When we're taking on people who we absolutely love working with, when we take on the specialty services that we absolutely love to do, we're able to show up to our jobs more authentically, with more passion, more motivation. We're able to stay motivated throughout our entire career. We're able to keep clients for much longer because they're happier with us because we're happier with them. So a new client application process that's completely automated, digital, will like lead your clients in the right direction. You won't have to send an email. It's literally, you get the application, you click a button, it sends them an automated email, and then they book their appointment, and you still have control over what they book. And it's all done and streamlined for you.
Amazing. So is that kind of like a questionnaire that you put on your website?
Yes. Yep, correct. Yeah, it's like a form.
Awesome. I love that. So how did you decide like who you wanted to see and who you didn't want to see, and also like really narrow down the services that you were passionate about? Like, can you give some examples of like how it worked in your own business?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So for me personally, I don't love to see my clients more than like every 8 weeks. So this is me personally, right? Everybody's gonna have their different specialty and the different types of markets that they like to work with.
Yeah.
For me, just for example, my brand is all about low maintenance hair color. And my ideal client is probably in their late 20s, and they are adventurous and they love to travel and they love to go out and do things, and they want their hair to look beautiful, but they don't have time to come into the hair salon every 4 weeks, right? So therefore, balayage is my specialty.
Yeah.
You could guess. But I don't talk about balayage. Because your clients don't know what balayage is. They know what low maintenance hair color means, right?
Got it.
So that's how I brand myself, because like going back to what I said, like you need to assume that they know nothing. So I love to work with that market. And
It's pretty much describing me, by the way. I'm 33, but I don't get my hair done that often. But when I do, I'm in Italy right now. I travel. I don't know when's the next time I'm going to be able to get my hair done. So I like something that lasts for a long time.
Right. And you're somebody who I would totally vibe with, because I would able to talk to you about your travels and like what you like and like all of that. And we would click so freaking well. And the services that you'd want done, I'd literally, my whole brand is based around solutions for you specifically. That is powerful.
Yeah.
That is crazy marketing. That's like, oh my gosh, this is the person that I need to book with, and I will spend all the coin to pay money for, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what building a true brand is about. But basically, I took my one client and maybe two clients that I freaking was obsessed with and that I loved what I did on them, and I took them and I was like, how can I clone them? I was like, how can I survey the heck out of them, figure out every single detail of their life, figure out what they like, what colors they like, et cetera, and build a whole brand around them. And quite honestly, I have to give a shout out to my girl Britt Siva, because I learned a lot of like target marketing in her course in Society.
Yeah.
But then also like target market and like figuring out what your ideal client and whatever you want to call it is. I mean, it's such a basic 101 marketing principle that's extremely overlooked and never thought about in our industry.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's important to continuously talk about it and to spread the message about it.
Amazing. Okay, so then in this like pre-visit questionnaire, essentially you're asking people things about like what kind of hair they would love to have, how often they would like to come in. How do you make sure that it's actually like the type of person who vibes with you, other than like the practical side of what services they want?
That's a really good question. So actually, I don't leave that up to my application form very much so. What I leave that up to is my website. So on your website and in your marketing, you should have a really strong brand, right? You should have a really strong sense of who you're speaking to. And when you have a strong sense of who you're speaking to, when you're using that same language, that same vibe, when you're speaking to that person specifically, and in your bio too, right, in like your about me section on your website, speaking about what your hobbies are, what your interests are, and like how you are, right, it'll automatically weed out the people who won't vibe with you, right? And then even then some in your new client application, I give a space for them to like explain what they want with their hair and stuff like that. And just from that small information, I can kind of get a feel for what I'm getting myself into. So that helps me as well too.
Amazing.
So, and quite honestly, I will say that I feel as if for me personally, it's less about the person that I'm working with and more about the service that I'm doing. I think I care about that a little bit more than I do the person. However, I have a very good friend. Her name is Laura. She owns a salon in Baltimore called Fringe. She has based her whole brand around a person instead of a service. And she does it in a gorgeous way because it's all about core values and who she is and what she believes in. And she just like blasts that all over her marketing, all over her social media, all over her website. And that automatically weeds people out who are not going to vibe with that. And I think, but she does all types of services. She does extensions, coloring, cutting, short cuts, long cuts. She does all of that, but she still has such a strong marketing funnel and she's happy doing what she's doing. Right.
I love that. Such a good example. Okay, so people fill out this questionnaire, this new client onboarding questionnaire, and you receive it, I guess, and you go through it, you read their responses, and then you decide whether this person's a fit or not for you.
Correct. And then you have like these set buttons with the technology that I teach in my course. You have these buttons and you can choose based upon what service you think they need to book for online. You can click the button that is going to send them an automated email which explains the instructions. And then also there is a deny button. So I don't think that we should ever be afraid of refusing service. We're literally licensed to refuse, right? So I think that you're actually doing a disservice to somebody by taking them on, even if you don't believe that you and that person are going to be the right fit. So in order to serve that person to the standard that they deserve, if you truly care about what you're doing behind the chair and the impact that you're making in your community, you can send I give like verbiage and templates and all of the things in my course. You could send a very professional email back just explaining that you don't feel like you're the right fit based upon answers. Here's some recommendations for salons in the area that I recommend. And then it's completely automated. I click a button, the email gets sent, boom. And if I do accept them and I have them book, then it has the online booking link and they go through that. They fill out a new guest intake form. And then that triggers other things that I won't get into.
You've got it. You've got all the technology locked in. I love it. I love like apps and software and all of that. Like I'm not Gen Z. I am a little bit older. Technically I'm a millennial, but I do love like software and I love that you've just like figured out all these pieces that fit together so well. So I wanted to also ask you, you said that before you started really focusing in on this pre-appointment experience, you said that you were just like overwhelmed. And I saw in your video too with like text calls, like you felt like you always had to be on and communicating with people. What kind of systems or what did you put in place to prevent that kind of like constant having to be on and communicating with clients all the time?
Absolutely. So number one, a business phone number app. So I always coach you having a separate business phone number, period. Other coaches will even coach you only moving to email only. I don't find that to be efficient or organized for me personally, but for some stylists it works. But definitely having a separate business phone number app that allows you to turn on do not disturb hours, to turn on auto replies, etc., etc. But not only that, because you're still getting texts, right? You're still getting texts to your second business phone number, even if you're on do not disturb. What you want to do is you want to have a space to hold all of your clients in, all of your existing clients in, where they can go and get the answers to their questions answered before they have to come to you.
Okay.
And you want to give them a space where they can go and manage their own appointments without going through you first.
Okay.
Right?
So instead of like texting you to be like, hey, is it okay if I change my appointment to half an hour later? You'll like give them a space where it explains to them how to change their appointment time, for example.
Exactly. And so in my course, I teach about creating a client-only portal. And the tech for that is actually, so in the tech for that is actually super simple. Even though it sounds crazy. But it is such a beautiful resource because, especially if we're talking a lot about marketing, I feel like in this, but if we're talking about marketing, what's so powerful about having a space for your existing clients and then having a space for your new clients is a new potential client doesn't have to surf through all of your existing client stuff that's on your website to get to what they want or to get to where you want them to go, which is to book an appointment with you.
Yeah.
So the less mumbo jumbo that they have to get through to book an appointment immediately, the more likely you're going to have them to actually book an appointment with you and give you money.
Yeah.
Versus, and vice versa with an existing client. The more crap that your existing client has to work through to get the information that they need, the more likely they are to just shoot you a text.
Yeah.
So having a specific space for your existing clients that hosts all of the information that's relevant to them, and then having your website as just speaking to your new clients helps to streamline and create boundaries and create convenience for your clients.
So pretty much you've got like a website, your regular website is designed and marketed and branded, and your messaging is all for connecting with that new client who's right for you and leading them on that path to booking an appointment. And then you have this like client portal, which is like all that information that, you know, question and answer, like frequently asked questions, all the docs that they need, all the policies, all of that kind of thing for someone who either has an upcoming appointment or is an existing client and wants to book another one.
Correct. You got it.
I love that. Okay. So I had one more question for you. You were saying that one of the problems that you had was existing clients were not able to get on your books for like months because you were just like totally booked out and busy. So how did implementing these kind of systems help with that? Did it just kind of like decrease the quantity of clients that you were seeing and only you were seeing like the cream of the crop, like best clients that you wanted to see, or like how did it help with that?
Such a good question. So in order to, what I also coach to is online booking only.
Yeah.
And so I say utilize online booking to hairstylists, and they're like, oh my God, no, I can't lose control of my books. Like, I'm so scared that people are going to like book the wrong thing. And even then if they do book the wrong thing, then you have to text them and then you have to tell them that this wasn't the right thing.
Yeah.
To deny the request, then you have to go back and forth and figure out what. So in my course, what I teach is how to get confident with online booking and the systems that you have to create in your business and the changes that you have to make in your business to be fully confident with online booking, to make it make sense for you, to make you feel like you have control, and to make it simple, easy, and convenient for your clients. So some of that has to do with simplifying your menu. Some of that has to do with the processes and systems that you have in place and the FAQs, like you said, in the client-only portal. But the things that I have been able to do with these systems that my students will be able to do now that they have these systems in place is I removed pre-booking from my business, which is like, whoa, what are you talking about? It needed to happen. I was like solidly booked, and I could not pre-book anybody because if they weren't serious about getting an appointment with me, then I did not want them in my books.
Right.
Because that's not fair to the people who will want that appointment.
So it kind of like just doing that alone, like started to save up a lot, to open up your schedule a lot more for the months coming up.
Absolutely. And then, so pre-booking only, then I only open my books 2 months at a time. And what did I say? Did I say yeah, I removed pre-booking?
Yeah.
I online booking only, and
2 months at a
I only
time.
open up my books 2 months at a time.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's it. That's and there's probably other like little things in there too, but and a big price increase, of course. Like I keep saying, like I'm not like don't forget about the price increase. Like price increase is like number one. Like that's what of course you need to do if you're in that space.
Yeah.
But sometimes if you're in a space where your marketing funnel is so strong, you're going to need to do something a little bit extra, right?
Yeah.
You're going to need to create changes and processes in your business. So.
Yeah, I love that. Amazing. Okay, last question that I have for you. It seems to me like the hairstylist that you're speaking to is someone who it has run like a pretty successful business, but one of their biggest like burdens and challenges is setting those boundaries and really setting up those systems that they're kind of have, maybe they know that they need to, but they've been kind of resisting them because they don't want to be the bad guy. They don't want to be the person who comes off as like too businessy and too like policies oriented. What do you say to people who are afraid of making those kind of changes and afraid of saying no or setting boundaries?
The first thing that I'm going to say is that on the technical side of things, you don't feel like you have control or you are scared of letting go control because you don't have the right systems in place and your business model isn't set up the way that it needs to be set up. So having a roadmap and having a system such as Previsit Pathway can help you gain that confidence, right? The second thing I'm going to say is it's so real and burnout will happen so fast if you're not serving yourself and taking care of yourself. And if you're not taking care of yourself, you cannot take care of anybody else. And that goes for your clients, that goes for your family, your friends, the people that you love and care about. And if you want to have a truly beautiful, scalable, gorgeous, passionate career, the reason why you even got into this job in the first place, then these boundaries are absolutely essential.
Yeah, I love that. Amazing. Hunter, I have learned so much from chatting with you in just this half hour. I'm so excited to learn even more. If anyone wants to learn from you, join your program, get these systems in place, where can they find you and how can they learn from you more?
Absolutely. So I find the best place to start out with me and to connect with me, which I would absolutely love to. If you want to connect with me, make sure that you shoot me a DM that you found me on Steph's podcast. I think that would be so cool for us to hear about. You can find me on the Instagram. So it's at Hair by Hunty, Hunty. And on there, you'll be able to get a little bit of taste for the content that I put out and the things that I'm teaching. And in the link in my bio, you'll be able to find the waitlist for Previsit Pathway, which is my course that I teach this whole Previsit system inside of. And I have a couple other little resources in there as well. If you want to get started right now for free, I have the free PDF guide, which is my 5 ways to automate your beauty business, in which they're just 5 super simple free ways to start automating and creating boundaries right now. So I would love to connect with you.
I love it. Again, thank you so much, Hunter, for coming on. I learned so much and I can't wait to connect more with you soon.
Thank you, Steph. It's been a pleasure. I really appreciate you. And I think what you're doing for your people is absolutely so cool.
Thank you.
I look forward to speaking with you in the future, friend.
Yay. Okay. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Bye.